It's time for the midweek review.
Whenever darkness falling, you know the spirit of the party starts to come alive until the day is dawning.
Welcome to the midweek review. You guys are here with your host, Yanni, and excited to have you guys here on another election edition of the midweek review. You guys are in for a treat today because we had the vice presidential debate tonight, and I'm gonna tell you what, it was not like the one was last week, but there were similarities, and we're going to get off into talking about the similarities that we had from the ones from last week. And I'm going to tell you what, Mike Pence was on point talking about the master class. I want to really dive off into that the short time that we have together today too as well. We're 27 days off from the election, and we have great opportunities to make our voice known so we can stop the fire, so we can stop the looting, so we can stop all the madness that's going on in this country. So what do? We put our thinking caps on and we go out and we vote, ladies and gentlemen. But, you know, before I get off into the debate that happened tonight, I want to talk about the president. Obviously, the president has returned to the White House, and the seething, upset Democrats. They're mad because he's made his return to the White House. And, you know, realistically, guys, doesn't matter who the president is. If he's upset, you're upset at the president, you don't like the president, you're in the president's corner, you're outside of the president's corner. Doesn't matter what your perspective is, he is still the commander-in-chief of the United States of America, and we should be in that position to support. We should be in that position to want to help him recover so we can keep our country recovering as well. But President Donald Trump is out of the hospital. And he's back in attack mode, no doubt about it. He is totally in attack mode. Guys, this has never happened to a president of the United States of America contracting a disease that was created by another country and released on to the world. And he's been on a rampage too. He has his tomahawk out. He has his axes out. He's like Jason Voorhees. And for this to be the month of October, this is a great time to talk about the president going on a slaying mission. And what the slaying he's going to be doing is the Democrats that are lying to the American people. We have to make sure that the news is being distributed, like I always say, correctly. Make sure the news is distributed truthfully, and make sure that those who are taking the news in, that they have a true understanding of what's going on in our country. We do definitely have a country we have to save. So we're 27 days away from the election, and here he is giving his testimony on how he felt days after he took the drugs. Now, you guys remember last week he had came down with some symptoms that were related to COVID. Also, another few of others in his cabinet and those who were close around the president, they also contracted COVID too as well. Those things are fine and dandy. We talked about herd immunity. We talked about things running to the society. We talked about the how at times this disease was volatile, but at times too you look back at the volatility of the disease, that it was only on people that had pre-existing conditions or had health conditions that brought that disease on them. So we have a better understanding of what's going on with this disease now. But on the other part of the equation, since we know more about the disease, another thing we know about the disease too as well, we know that the mortality rate is dropping. We know that the hospitalizations are dropping. We know that the numbers are kind of easing up. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, we were supposed to have 2 million people dead before September, before Election Day. Everything comes down to Election Day, whether it be coronavirus, Election Day. And someone spilled the beans. I believe it was Jane Fonda. I heard someone talking about it earlier actually. I think it was Mark Levin was talking about earlier today on his program, and he was talking about how the cat's out the bag. Jane Fonda talked about that the coronavirus was a blessing and a gift from God. Guys, let me tell you what, if Democrats said things that made sense, I would be a Democrat. If they had policies that I supported, I would be a Democrat. I would vote Democrat. But here's the problem. I can't do that because they don't line up with my worldviews. But I want you to check out what the president said as he returned to the White House. And guys, we can't fear the rest of our life. A coward dies 1,000 deaths, but a soldier dies only once. That soldier knows what his mission is. That soldier knows that if he dies or if he suffers a fatality or casualty, which is himself, He understands that the job that he has to do is to complete the mission. President Trump, cut number one.
Walter Reed Medical Center, and it's really something very special. The doctors, the nurses, the first responders, and I learned so much about coronavirus. And one thing that's for certain, don't let it dominate you. Don't be afraid of it. You're going to beat it. We have the best medical equipment. We have the best medicines, all developed recently. And you're going to beat it. I didn't feel so good. And 2 days ago, I could have left 2 days ago. 2 days ago, I felt great, like better than I have in a long time. I said just recently, better than 20 years ago. Don't let it dominate. Don't let it take over your lives. Don't let that happen. We have the greatest country in the world. We're going back to work. We're going to be out front. As your leader, I had to do that. I knew there's danger to it, but I had to do it. I stood out front. I led. Nobody that's a leader would not do what I did. And I know there's a risk, there's a danger, but that's okay. And now I'm better, and maybe I'm immune. I don't know. But don't let it dominate your lives. Get out there. Be careful. We have the best medicines in the world, and it all happened very shortly, and they're all getting approved. And the vaccines are coming momentarily. Thank you very much. And Walter Reed, what a group of people. Thank you very much.
So there's the president. And he talks about us not fearing. You can't fear this. You have to fight it. You have to go after it. You have to be active. And that's exactly the leadership that the president has been showing. And one thing I heard tonight over and over again, a drum of words, failure to lead, failure to lead, failure to lead. And the president, to me, I think, and I believe from what I see, and I believe the American people have seen it too, that he is not exercising a non-failure to lead, but he is actually leading the country. This isn't an unorthodox way. Absolutely. Does he do things the way that we normally have done it many, many decades? No, he doesn't. And that's why he's getting results. Ladies and gentlemen, the president of the United States, he won fair and square on a mission of draining the swamp, first of all. You guys remember the chants and things like that. He said he was going to drain the swamp. But he also expounded some other things. He was talking about the drugs being free. How many politicians normally say that? They say that, yes, and it doesn't be done. But this president has a track record of following through on what he says he's going to do. He also vowed to make China pay for it. China is the big culprit in all of this. And, people don't want to, they don't want to say it. It's for some reason, our Democratic friends on the other side, they refuse to bash China, just like the NBA. And those sports athletes there, they refuse to call China to the carpet. They want to blame everything on Trump, that evil old man that's catching diseases and spreading it to his whole cabinet. Donald Trump in the White House. He is a super spreader machine. That's what he does, and that's what they want you to believe. Well, I'm not believing that crap. Okay? Over at Breitbart, Donald Trump catching COVID-19, he said it was a blessing to him. Obviously, it's a blessing. Because if you think about it, catching a disease or having a unique experience on a disease, a unique experience that you've never had before. So therefore, the symptoms, the fever, the cough, the way your body felt, the aching, the lack of oxygen, all of these contributing factors is going to make you say, wait a minute, I have the disease. And not just that, on the other side of the coin, what President Trump is going to understand about the disease is what 200,000 plus 7 million people on this planet have, or 7 million people that have contracted the disease in the United States of America. He understands them now. So you have two pieces, right? There's a piece over here, there's a piece over there. Trump is on this piece, right? He's right there on this piece. He's not moving. Trump catch or contracts COVID-19. He moves to this side. Well, all the people that are on this side, they have COVID-19. Okay, he was talking about a perspective that he didn't really understand. And so, yes, that's okay, because you could talk about people that have cancer. You can talk about people that have contracted some type of horrible, incurable disease. And that is unfortunate. Absolutely it is, just like Breonna Taylor, what did to her a little bit later. But those things you just can't control. It just is what it is. And so when the president says something like, it just is what it is, people are upset about it. It just is what is it? What isn't it then? Oh, 208 people, 200,000, 8,000 people died from coronavirus. And we don't know, we don't have all the answers still, but you can't bring them back. So it is what it is. Let the president say that. And I'm going to tell you what, guys, they made a whole big scandal off of it. Donald Trump catching COVID-19, a blessing in disguise because of Regeneron, the drug. Now, talking about the guinea pig, Donald Trump says, hey, Me, who wants to be a guinea pig for this new drug? Donald Trump, I want to be the guinea pig. And that is leadership too as well. You have Kamala Harris and Joe Biden bashing people in the Trump administration, telling them that they will not take the drug if Donald Trump would administer the drug to them, or Donald Trump would give that vaccine to them, or whatever. I have a question for the ladies and gentlemen in the United States of America, those who have a brain that's halfway thinking with a couple of brain cells that you're rubbing together. Kind of like that, right? If you think about it, I don't think Donald Trump has time amongst his busy schedule to be inside of a lab with a lab coat on. You see a little mask and the little shield, and he has little beakers, just smoke and stuff. There's wicked music playing in the background. There has to be wicked music if Donald Trump is involved. You know, the Halloween time music and the October surprise, I believe, was him catching COVID-19. Because now that chess piece slides from one side to the other. And so, anyways, enough about the president. He's going to take care of his own. Obviously, we know the president can take care of things. But to the vice presidential debate. Ladies and gentlemen, here front and center we have Kamala Harris. Ding, 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 ding. She is going after the championship, which is going to be the presidency of the United States of America, because she's not, look, ladies and gentlemen, she's not going for the vice presidency. She's going for the presidency. Don't tell nobody. Joe Biden is just a puppet there. Like I said, she will now in turn be the ventriloquist, and he will be the dummy. First it was Bernie Sanders, and he just dissed Bernie Sanders, kind of like Nancy Pelosi. I just love this. This right here should be embroidered and put on and stamped in brass or no, copper, one of the cheapest metals in the world. Put it right there in the Capitol, and in fact, outside of Nancy Pelosi's office. I don't care much about statues. That's what they should say right there. That is an iconic statement. But let's get to the moderator, though. The moderator is the passive, intolerant, sometimes incoherent moderator. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Thank you, Mr. Vice President. How much did you guys hear that tonight? You heard it over and over and over again. Let me backtrack, though. But Trump talking about the drug Regeneron being a blessing in disguise. Excuse me, guys. I think it was a blessing from God, Trump said, that I caught it. This is a blessing in disguise, Trump said to the video posted on social media. And of course, he did say that. The president said that when he went to Walter Reed Hospital, that when he's talking to doctors, the Regeneron drug, he's the one who recommended the drug, to himself. I think this is gutsy. It's called Regeneron, Regen-Cov 2. The drug has not been approved by the Food and Drug Administration, although it's in phase 3 of its trials that begin in July. Guys, with warp speed, when we think about Star Trek,
Commander Riker's team is aboard, sir.
Helm, warp 1, engage.
So that's how Trump is taking off with warp speed. And you notice President Vice Pence was talking about plagiarism, and I want to dive headstrong into that a little bit too, because Vice President Joe Biden has a history of plagiarism. Stealing words off of the page. That word's on that student's page, now that word's on Joe Biden's page. That project that student was working on was done by that student. Now, all of a sudden, Mr. Little Joey Biden, he has the project too. He has a history of copycatting people all the time. But I went in, the president said, and I wasn't feeling so hot within a short period of time. When they gave me the Regeneron, I think it was the key, and it was unbelievable. I felt good immediately, Trump said. Trump is his own commercial. Trump is his own spokesman for these drugs that he's not in the lab creating with a beaker of smoke and all types of electrical charges going off behind him. He's not a mad scientist. What he is, though, he is a mad president. Mad at all the years that we've been stoned in this country and walked over. Mad at all the times that we've given our jobs to our corporations. They went off into other countries and established their roots there. I mean, all and over again. How many times have our jobs been taken by people in this country that don't belong in the interior of the country? You have to think about these things. So many moving parts that are just relevant. We should think about it when we go and vote. But don't let them pull off the stops. Trump is their front and center. He's not just, you remember the hair club for men? Trump would probably be a good candidate for that too. He has the big hair. He's like, well, I'm not just only a client. I'm also the president, right? Or the president of the client. He did it back and forth. But the thing is, Trump now is, oh my gosh, he is symbolic. This is beautiful. Trump is symbolic of COVID-19 now. At first, he was on the outside of COVID-19. Now, Trump is symbolic. He is the embodiment of that. And so as them try to throw spears and use coronavirus against him, he now becomes the antibody to the coronavirus election, voting, impediment that he was in, predicament that he was in, because he was. The coronavirus, like Jane Fonda said, was the biggest blessing, thinking they're going to win an election. The other thing, coronavirus is being used to pelt and beat and stomp the president. Not just that, stomp every single person that voted for the president of the United States. If you voted for the president of the United States, you're being stomped out and your words are being trampled. You're being called a racist, which I think is very, very unfair. So Trump is out in front and center, and now he is, in a sense to me, and I'm going to probably be the first one to say this, he was not immune to coronavirus in this election. Him catching coronavirus, it gave him a certain immunity to this election, which made him a in the slot #1 benefit. Do not doubt me on that when I tell you that. Anyways, but back to this moderator here. This lady was something else. I mean, she was like Chris Wallace 2.0. She was Chris Wallace in a skirt. She tried her with all the might that was in her. You saw her grimacing at times, just not wanting the president to speak, not wanting him to finish a thought, trying to rush to the next topic. All you heard was, thanks, Mr. President. Thanks, Mr. President. She was literally just in her own zone. And her zone was to debate Mike Pence on the low. Because it was so obvious what Chris Wallace did, and everybody blasted him. And so once Chris Wallace walked off stage, he wouldn't cry in the car, kind of like that guy on the Friday movie. He gonna cry when he get in the car. He took a beating for Donald Trump, and then he took a beating from his media friends. He took a beating from Republicans. He took a beating from Democrats, and that's why you don't do that. If you're sitting in that moderator chair, you want to be non-biased as possible. And it's so hard for people to do that nowadays in the era of Trump. But I want to get off to this young lady here that was moderating. This is how she interrupted the president, not just once, but over and over and over again. A little bit of a long montage, but you will see this is what the debate was about. And as you hear me play this video clip here, you're going to hear substantive things that Mike Pence will be talking about inside of this debate as he's being cut off. Cut number 2, please.
The American people know that this is a president who has put the health of America first, and the American people, I believe with my heart, are proud of the sacrifices they have made. It's saved countless American lives. That's the reality.
Thank you.
They also said to us, if we did everything right, Susan, we could still lose more than 200,000 Americans.
Vice President
now, one
Pence,
life lost is too many, Susan. And their neighbors first, our doctors, our nurses, our first president introduced Judge Amy Coney Barrett.
Thank you. Thank you,
the
Vice
government
President.
takeover of health care.
Thank you,
the Green New Deal. We still learn from it.
Pence.
And I think
Vice
the American
President Pence,
people,
your time is
I'm going
up.
to say again, can be proud
Vice President Pence, I'm sorry,
of
your
what
time
we
is
have
up.
done. And Senator, please
Thank you, Vice
stop
President
undermining
Pence.
confidence in it. The stakes have never been higher, but
Thank
I
you.
think the
Thank you,
choice
Vice
is never by
President.
cutting taxes, rolling back regulation,
Thank you.
unleashing
Thank you,
American
Vice President.
energy. All
Thank-
of that's
thank you,
on the
Vice
line.
President
If
Pence.
Joe Biden, 2021
Thank
is
you,
going to
Vice
be the
President
biggest
Pence.
economic year in the history of this country.
Thank you,
as
Vice
they
President.
are.
Thank you, Vice President
There are
Pence.
no more hurricanes today than
Thank
there
you.
were 100 years ago.
Thank you.
But many of the climate alarmists
President Pence,
use
I'm sorry, your time
hurricanes
is up.
and try and
Thank
sell
you,
their
Vice
bill of
President
goods
Pence.
of a Green New
Thank you,
Deal,
Vice
American jobs and
President
American
Pence.
workers' families.
Thank you.
Joe Biden wants us
Thank
to
you, Vice
retrofit
President Pence.
4 million
Thank you, Vice
Americans this
President
pandemic.
Pence.
But a Green New
Thank you,
Deal, you're
Vice President
massive
Pence.
hysterical. He said it
Thank
was
you, Vice President
xenophobic.
Pence.
But President Trump has
Vice President
stood
Pence,
up
your
to
time is
continue
up.
to stand strong.
Thank you, Vice
in the
President.
relationship. We're going to level the playing field, and we're going to hold
Vice President
China.
Pence.
Last administration transferred $1.8 billion to the leading state sponsor
Thank you, Vice
of
President
terrorism.
Pence.
President Donald Trump got us out of the
Thank you,
deal. He
Vice
was
President
traveling to Baghdad
Thank you,
to do
Vice President
harm
Pence.
to Americans. President Donald Trump took
Thank you,
him
Vice
out.
President Pence.
Men and women of our armed forces are absurd.
I'm sorry, Vice
My
President
son is
Pence.
a captain in the
Thank
Air
you,
Force.
Vice President Pence.
The
Vice
American
President
people
Pence,
deserve, Susan,
Vice
the
President
American
Pence,
people deserve
I
to
didn't,
know.
Vice President
that-
Pence,
Susan, the
I did
American
not
people
create
deserve
the
to know.
rules for tonight.
She's nothing but a liberal hack dressed up in moderator's clothes or moderator's clothing for you guys that want to be professional and on point or whatever it may be. So it's a joke. And, she also went on the attack on Mike Pence as well. Talk about moderators. The thing is, I look at these moderators nowadays. They're nothing but just bought and paid for hacks. That's all they are. It's been a long time, even coming from Fox. When you remember, many years ago, we had what was that one? That Kelly lady. Yes, that was at Fox. She tried to brutalize the president as well, and she's coming from the right side. Guys, how come Republicans never stick together? How come they always break ranks? How come the Democratic Party are the only party that never break ranks? They never do. Okay? Another thing about this moderator, she claims the get-together at the White House was a super spreader event. Just the way she named it, I always said that. It seems like, the President Mike Pence, this is how I would have named it, being the moderator. Mr. President, about 11 days ago, you guys had an event at the White House, and as you guys can see, the world sees that the president's come down or contracted the coronavirus. Not just that, many of those in his close circle. Do you think that had anything to do with the last event that you guys had, or anything like that? What do you say, Mr. President? But no, she doesn't go that route. She goes the evil route. You know how they say we take the high road, they take the low road, we take the high road? No, every single day. And I'm going to get off it to Michelle hopefully a little bit later here too if I have that time. Taking the high road. These guys take the low road every single chance they get, and the low road is taken only to dominate Donald Trump, to beat him and get him out of the White House. But she claimed that it was a super spreader event. How do you know? Are you a scientist? Were you even there? People mouthing off things or saying stuff that they have no clue of. Journalism via emotion. Journalism assuming what something was or something happened because I saw it on TV. It's a super spreader. Cut number 3, please.
President Pence, you were in the front row in a Rose Garden event 11 days ago at what seems to have been a super spreader event for senior administration and congressional officials. No social distancing, few masks, and now a cluster of coronavirus cases among those who were there. How can you expect Americans to follow the administration's safety guidelines to protect themselves from COVID when you at the White House have not been doing so?
So you see her response, and I believe Mike Pence responds beautifully on this exchange here because he wasn't going to be punked. You know, Mike Pence comes in there and they're talking about some fly that landed on his head. When he was talking about the Affordable Care Act or whatever, somebody had a fly landing on his head. You know they have no substance when they're talking about flies landing on the vice president's head. That's all you got? You don't have anything else other than that? Clip number 4, please. Let's go.
People who were at that event, Susan, actually were tested for coronavirus. And it was an outdoor event, which all of our scientists regularly and routinely advise. The difference here is President Trump and I trust the American people to make choices in the best interest of their health. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris consistently talk about mandates, and not just mandates with the coronavirus, but a government takeover of health care, the Green New Deal, all government control. We're about freedom and respecting the freedom of the American people.
And here we have it. You know, him responding to that just so beautifully. But the parallel between Chris Wallace and I think her name is Susan Page, them losing control is just absolutely beautiful. Here you have the president's losing control, and he's trying to rival and get him. It's like herding cats, and then she loses control. Check this out. Cut number 5, please.
Right, gentlemen,
was heavily
Mr. President,
you would have been much later, Joe.
Mr. President,
much later.
Mr. President,
you're talking about 2 million people.
Mr. President, as the moderator, we are going to talk about COVID in the next segment, but go ahead.
I don't know. View.
Well, all right. Let's talk. We got a lot to unpack here, gentlemen. We got a lot of time. So, well,
I got rid of the individual mandate.
I'm going to give you an opportunity.
I got rid of the individual mandate, which was a big chunk of
Obama.
That is absolutely a big thing. That was the worst part of Obamacare.
Sir,
Chris, that was the worst part of Obama.
Let me ask my question.
Well, I'll ask Joe. The individual mandate was the most unpopular aspect of Obamacare. I got rid of it.
I'd like
and we will protect people with
President, I'm the moderator of this
conditions.
debate, and I would like you to let me ask my question, and then you can answer your question.
First of all, I guess I'm debating you, not him, but that's okay. I'm not surprised.
It's open discussion.
No,
let
but
me
this
ask
is
you about.
big.
You'll be happy.
Big stuff. Well,
Vice President,
Chris,
no.
Can I be honest? It's a very important
Try to be
question.
honest.
He stood up.
No,
he stood up,
the answer to the question is no.
Ukraine.
No, sir.
With $1 billion, if you
that
get rid of
is
the
absolutely
you know what,
not
stop.
true. And by the way, my son.
Wait a minute, Mr. President, your campaign agreed to both sides would get 2-minute answers uninterrupted. Well, your side agreed to it, and why don't you observe what your campaign agreed to as a ground?
I want to make sure we have a chance.
I really have to
talk
respond to
about,
that. Look. She has
15 seconds because
well, I got to have more than that. Look,
well, I'm sorry, but Vice President Pence, you've had more time than she's had so far.
Slanders against President Donald Trump regarding men and women of our armed forces are absurd.
I'm sorry, Vice President Pence.
My son is a captain in the United States Marine Corps. My son-in-law is deployed in the United States Navy. I can assure all of you, with sons and daughters serving in our military, President Donald Trump not only respects but reveres all of those who serve in our armed forces, and any suggestion otherwise is ridiculous.
Thank you, Vice President Pence.
The American people deserve, Susan, the American people deserve to know.
Vice President Pence, I did not, excuse me,
Susan,
I did not create the rules for tonight.
Joe Biden.
Your campaigns agreed to the rules for tonight's debate with the Commission on Presidential Debates. I'm here to enforce them, which involves moving from one topic to another.
But it was definitely a tag team, definitely. So I remember Kamala, she was talking about, we'll enter the climate agreement with pride. Well, the reason why you got to enter with pride and you got to convince yourself and convince the world that you got to enter into some type of agreement with pride is because you know it's the wrong thing to do from the get-go. America was the some growth, some loser in this whole thing. When Kamala Harris is about to lie, you guys can tell too, she starts to, you can tell when she's about, and for her to be a prosecutor and have all the experience and skills that she has, so to speak, why is she gulping? Why is she get these weird looks with her eyes, which it was eye rolling all night, it was laughing all night, it was all this crap. And this is the stuff that American people don't want to see. What we want to see is what's of substance, okay? And here's the thing. She was talking about if you make less than $35,000, you won't have to pay taxes. Wait. There's no substance. If you make under $35K, but what else? How's that going to work? Who's going to put it together? And if we're not going to pay the taxes, you're going to raise taxes, which you say they're not going to raise taxes. Who's going to pay the money? Where's the money going to come for? For the free college. No substance. Sounds like she was reading a resume too. Well, I've done this and I've done that and I've done this. Well, we already know what you've done. What are you planning to do with the country? That's what we want to know. What do you plan to do with the country? Inserting race and gender. Oh, here we go. Because I was the first black prosecutor. Who cares about that? Ladies and gentlemen, who cares about what your race is? If you can do the job, do the damn job. Who cares about what your color is? If you're able to do the job, do the job. So these people, they can't not help but insert race into these things. You can tell she's a clear opportunist as well. When Joe Biden gave me the call, blah, 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 all scripted, all staged, all phony. And she got caught in many lies just like her boss, soon to be boss, which we're going to not let that happen, is going to be lied to as well. They'll raise taxes, ladies and gentlemen, and she used fear-mongering. Oh, you ran out of toilet paper. What has that got to do with the debate? You have no food to eat. What has that got to do with the debate tonight? We're talking about substance issues and things that we should be bringing up. And then bring up John McCain. Are we hurling ourselves back to 2008 via Obama and hope and change? What are we doing here? It's 2020. McCain has been dead a long time. Let the man rest in peace too, and stop bringing up this crap trying to bash the president with it. Packing the court. An honest answer. She brings up Honest Abe. Well, Honest Abe didn't do this. Back in the 1800s, are you kidding me? That's like you being hung up on some clown from the 60s. Oh, Bozo the Clown's the greatest clown ever. And we got Krusty the Clown, we have Homie the Clown, we have a plethora of clowns now. And that was a clownish statement if you think about it. America has changed. The Constitution is still strong. Okay? But it's not clever. It's not clever what they're trying to do. Mike Pence caught her flat-footed though. Because she tried to, try to answer the question. Are you planning on packing the courts? They can't answer the question. And realistically, ladies and gentlemen, if you are an American citizen paying your taxes, being hit by growing wages, being hit by inflation, being hit by this job or that job, or paying your bills, if you've been hit by these things, which are everyday things, which I don't think the president should be trying to talk about that, vice presidents either, because they enact policies and they enact regulations that will now then form and shape the country. But you allow the free market capitalist system to work. You allow the heartbeat of America to beat and the innovative of the private sector to work. That is the way we should be thinking about this country. Government is never the answer. Government is a backup plan is what government should be for the most part. But we make government everything. Oh my gosh. But she brought this crap up. She was caught flat-footed. And, let me tell you what. You get caught flat-footed with Vice Pence, you will pay a price. But, also, too, George Floyd made the appearance as well. George Floyd is the cause of all these fires and rioting and looting. And we're bringing up George Floyd now? Is that what we're doing? Are we defending the Blake family, too, as well? Is that what we're doing? Being a criminal sex offender. Guys, look at the facts. I need you guys to go and look at the news. Anyway, so I want to get off into this next clip here on how Pence caught her so flat-footed. I mean, she was not ready for this one here. And you can tell when she does this, she has this look like, or she laughs. I'm talking right now. No, you're not in control of none of this stuff here. Mike Pence took control. Video clip number 6, please.
Well, I mean, I thought we saw enough of it in last week's debate, but I think this is supposed to be a debate based on fact and truth. And the truth and the fact is Joe Biden has been very clear. He will not raise taxes on anybody who makes less than $400,000 a year.
He said he's going to repeal the Trump tax cuts.
Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking.
Well, wait.
I'm speaking.
It'd be important if you said the truth. Joe Biden said twice in the debate last week that he's going to repeal the Trump tax cuts. That was tax cuts that gave the average working family $2,000 in a tax break every single year.
Senator, that is
that's the math.
absolutely not true. That
Is he only going to repeal part of the Trump tax cuts?
If you don't mind letting me finish, we can then have a conversation, okay?
Please.
Okay.
What a beautifully
Joe
crafted
Biden will
answer.
not raise taxes
Beautifully.
on
Mike Pence is calm. He's direct, patient. You hear the experience in his voice. Biden is talking about what he's going to do after 47 years in Washington. And Pence and Trump talks about, and they show, we have the example, what they've done in 3.5 years. The picture is clear for the American people to see. I want to continue to break this stuff down, though, as we return on the Midweek Review. See you in a sec.
But I won't resort to calling names today. When it comes to fighting the libs, he's in the game 100%. But these people are crazy. Shooting it straight to the Americans. 100% responsibility. 100% accountability. Right? How come evil is able to stand? It is programming you to believe a conservative unhinged. It's all about race relations and, oh, we gotta have this conversation. We don't have to have this conversation. The killer of groupthink, the American's voice, and Yanni. Sundays at 10 a.m. Don't miss it.
Dissecting and breaking down the one called Kamala Harris. And we have to do this. You guys know it's right that we have to do this. It's absolutely imperative we have to do this, being 27 days out from an election, one of the biggest elections in our lifetime that I believe. And so we're going to continue to put the hammer down and make sure that everyone is educated, everyone understands what direction we need to go, because we do truly have a country we have to maintain. You know, it's almost like a garden, right? You're out there and you're pulling the weeds out. The weeds are coming. They keep growing. They keep coming. It's a never-ending battle. I have weeds in my backyard that last year I was almost overtaken and became a plant because I had so many weeds in my yard. So don't do that. But going back to Kamala Harris, the back in the court answer. This is one of the biggest fundamental questions that they're asking out on the campaign trail, and no one's answering the question. Joe Biden was asked last week, and there was no answer. Kamala Harris was asked tonight, point blank. And Mike Pence just came to the conclusion, and the American people that were watching came to the conclusion as well, that she is not going to answer the question because what they plan to do is what he was saying. And it's amazing. You look at the Democratic Party. I look at Republicans. I look at Democrats. The ones who are pointing the finger the most are the ones who are doing what they say they shouldn't be doing. But let's go back to Honest Abe. She invoked Honest Abraham Lincoln, resurrecting him from the grave like all the other dead people they're doing when they have no defense and cannot have a legible or a clear debate or argument with facts. Okay? So in 1864, Abraham Lincoln was up for re-election, and it was 27 days before the election. Now, Ruth Bader Ginsburg died about 48 days, I believe it was. So we got 28-day dilemma here before the election, and the seat became open on the United States Supreme Court. Abraham Lincoln, he had 4 Supreme Court, and he did 1 Chief Justice, so there was 4 he appointed to Supreme Court. And here's the thing here. Donald Trump might have the opportunity to have 4 as well on the Supreme Court. Depending on what's going on with Thomas and some of the other guys. There's another guy there too as well. But Honest Abe said it's not the right thing to do, Kamala Harris said. The American people deserve to make a decision. And here's the weak argument they're putting out there, that we are in the election. We're in the heat of the battle of an election. Donald Trump said last week, and rightfully so, that if we are still elected, the Senate's elected for a body a time, the president is elected for a body for a time. And in that body, in that election of time, they have the work they have to do. So the president is elected for 4 years, not 3.5 years. If there's an election coming up, the people that voted for this president, his whole 4-year term, he has the right to make the pick if he chooses to, especially if the Senate is in session. So she says it's not the right thing to do. The American people deserve to make the decision about who will be the next president of the United States of America. Well, they made that choice in 2016. They're making that choice again with this pick of Amy Coney Barrett, which is a fantastic pick, which will protect the Constitution as well, I believe, and will also protect our freedoms and our religious rights too. And then that person will be able to select who will serve on the highest court in the land, she says. This is the same argument that Joe Biden is giving to as well. Why they're giving this argument, I don't know. I do know. In fact, wait a minute, the brain just like switch, I click like a click. I do know why they're giving this answer, because they want to win. They want to cheat. Okay, and they're not going to be honest with you because they're going to paint this little picture that's so pretty. Look at the little roses over there, little rainbows over there, a little sunshine over there, and everybody feels nice, great, and happy until you wake up that next year and the president's being sworn in. And then after, when he's giving his speech as he's coming into office, right? He's going to be talking about what he's going to do, and he's going to paint out this picture that he says everyone in America wants to see and everyone loves. And we're going to be like having your popcorn, looking at right? What? Free college. Mildred, you ever talk about free college? And that's what they're going to do. But one search is in vain of that evidence of Lincoln's having either expressed or acted upon this sentiment. However, she did spout this on the debate stage tonight. Although Lincoln cannot name a nominee prior to the 1864 election, he cannot have filled the open Supreme Court seat prior to that event. When Taney died, the Congress had been in recess since July 4th. They're going to recess. And would not have reconvened until December 5th. So that's well after the election. Lincoln had no opportunity to designate a successor and have had that person confirmed by the Senate prior to November 8th. He couldn't have him confirmed. It was impossible. They were out of session. They were out on recess. Okay, and he was managing of Civil War. He was managing politicians that were quarreling amongst each other in competing interests. So he had his hands full. So he wasn't really concerned and, honest Abe is the right thing to do. So it was blatantly false and it's a blatant lie, and they should stop peddling that stuff. Mike Pence was right to call her on her hypocrisy, because that's exactly what it is. But you have all of these media factions, and I want to talk about them real quick here too before we move on. How they're bringing up how she's a woman, how she's attacked, and how this and that. Well, I'm going to play some clips for you in just a second here that will show a different picture. The contrast is different, but it's amazing. But because of the 18 to 27-year-olds, the undecided voters, the people are going to be voting for the first time, and they're hearing this garbage, this mush, they're going to assume that this stuff is right and what she's saying is right. Bringing up McCain. Why are we bringing up old altercations and things from the past? That's not really necessary. But I do wonder if they have buyer's remorse on the Democratic side. And I want to be fair. I want to expose the underbelly, the wicked underbelly of the Democratic Party, and that's our responsibility. That's something we have to do if we're going to distribute, be journalists, or if we're going to even be someone who would sit and say, well, I'm just an opinion host or whatever it may be. Because I give opinion, I give news, I give a lot of things. But one thing I'm going to give also too, for the most part, is the truth. And that's what we should be doing every single day. So I'm going to give them a chance to give their viewpoint out there. They see things a lot differently than we do. But you be the judge. She's vapid. And she should not be permitted to pass. She should not be permitted to pass. Actually, realistically, the way she debated on the stage tonight, it wasn't even a debate. How are you a United States Senator? Okay? She's very brief. She did not give any explanation of why should I vote for her? Why should you vote for Kamala Harris in 2020 on the Joe Biden ticket? Why should you? With that weak performance. Now, she performed a lot better against Joe Biden, which we've been seeing a lot of Joe Biden a whole lot more lately here, which is okay. But we can't let her pass. You shall not pass.
Wielder of the flame of honor, Dark fire will not avail you. Flame of Udun! Go back to the shadow. You shall not pass!
Can't pass. And another thing I want to address too, let's address the skeleton in the room. Talking about no blacks on the court. You know, I am so tired of these Democrats. If it was Republicans doing the same thing, I would say the same thing about them too as well, playing the race card. I don't care what color the judge is, whether Supreme Court, doesn't really matter. Let me tell you why a lot of people aren't filling those spots that are black or African American or whatever term you choose to use. Those spots are being filled because they're not being pursued by those people. If they are, I'm sure they'll have an opportunity. Okay, what is your record? And here might be another thing that's to get some to as well, especially if it's a Republican administration. Look how many Republicans that are out there that are really representing as they should, that are black. It's not that many of them, but they're coming along. So it's great. But the cup of the poisonous Kool-Aid. Why should I elect a judge that because the color of his skin or what her gender is? Why should we do this? I don't think we should. It's not very smart to do. This is the reason why. The cup and the poisonous Kool-Aid. You might say what the cup of the poisonous Kool-Aid is. What I think this is here, Trump is nominating people and sending people to the appellate judges in the courts, the Supreme Court, because they are qualified. It has nothing to do with gender, has nothing to do with genitalia, has nothing to do with race. And it should never have anything to do with that. Okay, so I have this cup of Kool-Aid. The beautiful glass outside is absolutely a beautiful cup. I mean, you have a little Kool-Aid Man logo on the outside there. I have pride in my cup and my Kool-Aid. In fact, it has the perfect little square ice cubes that they used to have on the little commercials back in the day. You could never seem to make perfectly at home. These clear see-through ice cubes that are square perfectly. And you want to drink this cup of Kool-Aid because it's a hot day. It's about 107 degrees outside and you're not feeling that great. But you know if you drink this Kool-Aid, because it looks good, it's something that, you know, it's going to be good for you. It's got to be good for the country. Look at it. Look at it. It's a black judge. Look at it. It's a black vice president. Look at it. It's the first black president, female. Well, let's try this out here. How did that work with Barack Obama? Did it work out just as fine as people did? People that voted on race versus policy? I don't think it worked out for them too well. But anyways, going back to this cup of Kool-Aid. So you take a nice big drink. Fail to realize as you take the first gulp, that first gulp becomes fatal because the cup is filled with poison. You never knew what was inside of the cup because the cup was not examined. So if you want to fall under scrutiny like Kamala Harris did tonight, you fall under scrutiny, you're going to see the eye batting, the eye rolling, the laughing, and the I'm talking now. What gives you the right? Are you my mother? No, you're not. And the mansplaining. That's their new word right there in the CNN, MSNBC world, trying to give her a defense of how she sucked tonight. And this was their vantage point.
He repeatedly interrupted her. He demanded, he also repeatedely interrupted the other woman in the room, which is the moderator, who seemed to at some point lose control.
Not overly assertive throughout this entire debate.
Well, Pence was a mansplainer in chief.
I get
Mr. Mike Mansplainer.
I think a lot of people were noticing some mansplaining.
Just start by saying I know Mike Pence. I've met Mike Pence. I've interviewed Mike Pence, and at one time I found him very impressive. Tonight, he made my skin crawl, and I think showed that you can be insulting without using insults.
So there they are again, playing the race card, playing the female card. You know all those cards they play? They have two cards. The Democratic Party has two cards. The Republican Party has maybe three, but they still have one more than they do. You know, they have a little bit that slight advantage, that slight edge. But it gets better. They're playing this card, but Miss Kamala Harris doesn't quite see it that way at all. Cut number 8, please.
Country. And it was not only that, but you also worked with them to oppose busing. And, you know, there was a little girl in California who was part of the second class to integrate her public schools. And she was bused to school every day. And that little girl was me. So I will tell you that on this subject, it cannot be an intellectual debate among Democrats. We have to take it seriously. We have to act swiftly. As Attorney General of California, I was very proud to put in place a requirement that all my special agents would wear body cameras and keep those cameras on.
But so the bottom line here is, look, everything I've done in my career, I ran because of civil rights. I continue to think we have to make fundamental changes in civil rights. And those civil rights, by the way, include not just only African Americans, but the LGBT community.
But Vice President Biden, do you agree today that you were wrong to oppose busing in America then?
No,
do you agree?
I did not oppose busing in America. What I opposed is busing ordered by the Department of Education. That's what I opposed.
Well, there was a failure of states to integrate public schools in America. I was part of the second class to integrate Berkeley, California public schools almost 2 decades after Brown v. Board of Education.
Because your city council made that decision. It was a local decision.
So that's where the federal government must step in. That's why we have the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act. That's why we need to pass the Equality Act. That's why we need to pass the ERA, because there are moments in history where states fail to...
Not everybody landed punches like you did, though.
It was a debate.
So you don't mean it?
It was a debate. That the whole reason, literally, it was a debate. It was called a debate.
So there she is. On the Daily Show, it's just a debate. It's just a debate. That's what she's saying. So are we acting? Or are we, are we changing modes? Or what's going on? I mean, it's okay with changing modes. But if we're going to change modes, please do not play the victim card. You are not a victim. If you want to run for the president of the United States, if you want to run for high office, you had better take the heat and the incoming that's coming right to you. At a nation near you, that's what you got to do. So as she decapitated, she kneecapped, she pounced on, she turned the guys into cream corn. Just ate his lunch, punked him for his milk money. This is what Kamala Harris did. She wasted Joe Biden, but you have these networks that are not being honest with the American people, and they are lying that she is a victim. Did you see that weak Kamala? She was so weak. She was such a victim. As she pulled out the hammer of Thor and started with the toes, started dissecting Joe Biden on busing. I was that girl. So it seemed like something real to her, but then she's on a Daily Show talking about it's just a debate. So are we acting or are we telling the truth? That's something for everyone to think about. You have to think about this. So we're going to move on just a little bit. I got a couple of other topics I want to cover, but that's where we're at 27 days out from the election. Exciting times. But Mike Pence, going back to him and the master class, I'm going to close out with this one here. The master class, I truly understand with more of a keen eye now why Donald Trump chose Mike Pence to be his vice president. Very, very important. Mike Pence also drew that line in the sand tonight to that racism thing. We keep bringing up Charlottesville, which is a complete hoax. It is ridiculous. But here's some reasons why I believe she was silenced tonight too as well, though. We have the Kayla Mueller situation. Kayla Mueller was one that was abducted by ISIS. They go out and we have these helpers that go and do missionary works and things in other parts of the world doing a great work. Then you have these savages out here abducting people, raping them, taking their lives. And that's exactly what happened because the Obama administration was slow on the draw. Mike Pence had to correct the record too as well. And Kamala Harris tried to slide away on that one too. Let's go and cut that one. Let's pull that clip out. I think that's clip number 10. Video clip 10. Let's look at Mike Pence kind of putting her back in the box that she tried to get out of because she was not being honest on what was going on. And so Mike Pence called her and the Obama administration on the Kayla Mueller failure. Video clip number 10, please.
Mueller, her parents of which are here with us tonight in Salt Lake City. Today, 2 of the ISIS killers responsible for Kayla Mueller's murder were brought to justice in the United States. Jihadi John was killed on the battlefield along with the other Beetle. The reality is that when Joe Biden was vice president, we had an opportunity to to save Kayla Miller. It breaks my heart to reflect on it, but the military came into the Oval Office, presented a plan. They said they knew where Kayla was. Baghdadi had held her for 18 months, abused her mercilessly before they killed her. But when Joe Biden was vice president, they hesitated for a month. And when armed forces finally went in, it was clear she'd been moved 2 days earlier. And her family says with a heart that broke the heart of every American that if President Donald Trump had been president, they believe Kayla would be alive today.
Thank you, Vice President.
Look, we destroyed the ISIS caliphate. And you talk about re-entering the Iran nuclear deal. I mean, the last administration transferred $1.8 billion to the leading state sponsor
Thank you, Vice
of
President
terrorism.
Pence.
President Donald Trump got us out of the deal.
Thank you, Vice President Pence.
And when Qasem Soleimani was traveling to Baghdad
Thank you,
to do
Vice President
harm
Pence.
to Americans, President Donald Trump took
Thank you,
him
Vice
out.
President Pence.
And America is safer, our allies are safer, and the American people know President Donald Trump will never have
Thank you, Vice President
take
Pence.
action.
I would like to give Senator Harris a chance to respond, but not at such great length because, of course, there are other topics we want to talk about.
But you mentioned Soleimani. Let's start there. So after the strike on Soleimani, there was a counter strike on our troops in Iraq. And they suffered serious brain injuries. And do you know what Donald Trump dismissed them as? Headaches. And this is about a pattern of Donald Trump's, where he has referred to our men who are serving in our military as suckers and losers. Donald Trump, who went to Arlington Cemetery and stood above the graves of our fallen heroes and said, what's in it for them? Because, of course, you know, he only thinks about what's in it for him. Let's take what he said about John McCain, a great American hero. And Donald Trump says he doesn't deserve to be called a hero.
It's such an important issue, but we have other important issues as well. And
Susan,
I want to make sure we have a chance
I really have
to talk
to respond
about
to that. Look, she has
15 seconds because
well, I got to have
trying
more
to
than
keep.
that. Look,
well, I'm sorry, but Vice President Pence, you've had more time than she's had so far.
The slanders against President Donald Trump regarding men and women of our armed forces are absurd.
I'm sorry, Vice President Pence.
My son is a captain in the United
Yes.
States Marine Corps. My son-in-law is deployed in the United States Navy. I can assure all of you, with sons and daughters serving in our military, President Donald Trump not only respects but reveres all of those who serve in our armed forces, and any suggestion otherwise is ridiculous.
So again, even on the Kayla Mueller failure, she was caught flat-footed. Just get her some flip-flops because she doesn't need to be in running shoes because she's not getting far from Mike Pence. So that was the failure of them not being accurate as they should. And the funny thing about that is as I look at all these articles, everything in the public domain, it said here that Vice President Mike Pence, during the debate tonight, he stabbed the Obama administration for failing to bring home that young American. You guys heard it. After Senator Kamala Harris claimed that the Trump administration made America's less safe, Pence recounted that the U.S. military had presented former President Barack Obama and Vice President Joe Biden with a plan to save Mueller. But they decided to wait a month, missing a patient, potentially saving her by 2 days. They miss when they talk about windows of opportunity, the slightest of edges. The Obama administration failed terribly. And so Mike Pence skillfully points that out. There are other things that happened. He drew the line in the sand, and the debate was a lot more civil, more calm than the big boys that were out there last week. But still, once again, there are many fireworks to go around. But then Mike Pence felt as well, and we saw it too, as you saw the clips that were playing earlier. He was being debated against too as well. But this one was a little subtle. She was a subtle, biased individual, but we still saw through her liberal hackery. You know, she was a hacker. It was amazing. Love Mike Pence's response, though, to Kayla Mueller. Vice President Pence, your administration has been predicting a rapid, robust recovery, the moderator said. The hack said. Susan Page said during the Vice President debate Wednesday, in fact, the economic recovery has been far from robust and rapid than was predicted. So she's breaking down what was a prediction versus what reality is. They're called prediction or estimations for a reason. How stupid. And this is completely dishonest, trying to twist and to contort what was said or what a prediction is or what really is. We're moving forward in this country. The Federal Reserve said in minutes released Wednesday as of its September meeting that the business investment job creation, declining unemployment, manufacturing, and the housing market had all recovered faster than expected. So here she is debating the vice president again. Go out and find the facts. Everything is in the open domain and the public domain, and we need to make sure that we're on top of this stuff here. Kamala Harris fact-checked again. She cites discredited Atlantic article, Trump and the troops in the vice president debate. Claim, Senator Kamala Harris of California claimed that the President Donald Trump called soldiers suckers and losers. False is the verdict that's in on that one. The claim by the Atlantic have never been corroborated and has been widely disputed. Even John Bolton said that it was not true, that it didn't happen. And you know he wrote a book about the president, the room where it happened or something like that. The room where it happened. What happened in that room? Who was listening and spying on the president? Can someone tell me? And why are they spying on the president? Is he that bad of a guy? I think he's okay in my book. So citing the crap that isn't real, citing lies on a presidential debate stage is completely disgraceful, and it needs to stop. And so I am thankful for Mike Pence and President Donald Trump out there leading the charge and making it happen. I am so thankful for them. So that's awesome. Another thing though too, back to Kamala Harris. She brought up Breonna Taylor. Here's the problem I have with that. The family of the Breonna Taylor, their family was paid $12 million in that settlement. The officers, probably a little too many shots, but once again, coming into a home, not knowing what's going on. You have multiple officers. You have one guy fires a shot, which without expecting or, hiding behind doors, well, he caused his girlfriend to get killed. That's my opinion. And they're bringing it up in the debate stage. What does that have to do with a presidential debate of someone who was killed, like cop got shot in the line of duty and she got shot and she became a casualty? It is absolutely a tragedy. But we're bringing this up at the debate stage. How come we can't talk about our economy? How come we can't talk about moving forward as a nation? How come we can't talk about kicking the crap out of everyone else in the world and making them eat their lunch? How about that? But she brings up George Floyd too, and how he died, the foot on the neck and all, you know the story. But never brought up the fact that he had drugs in his system. He had drugs on him. Before he died, he was talking about he had problems with complicating breathing. But that tape didn't come out till later. Convenient. And that seems to be a narrative all the time. So we have a nation to save. We have a responsibility to follow through on all that we do. And me as your host on the Midweek Review, I will do that every single week. And I promise you guys that we'll bring the best, that we'll be the best, and we will open doors of truth and also excellence and commitment to the American way and exceptionalism. That's what we do here on the Midweek Review, and that's what we do here in America. But that's all that I have time for this week. So much more to get to, but I'll have to catch you next week on the Midweek Review.
Bring a bullet, bring a sword, bring a morgue, but you can't bring the truth to me. You and all your expectations, I don't even want your congratulations. I recognize your false confidence and calculated promises.